Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing our reading log for the month of April. Today I'm going to be talking about everything that I read in this past month and talk a little bit about each thing. So most of this has already been reviewed anyways, with the exception of a few things here because I don't know how to review them just yet. But yeah, now I do want to talk about my TBR in general. I actually read quite a bit outside of the TBR that I wasn't planning to, but I managed to basically finish everything in my TBR except for one book, which was Bright Blade. I forgot to finish this. Well, actually, I didn't forget to finish it. Sorry. What I did was actually didn't finish it in time, to call it part of my April reading log. I still have about 50% of the story left. I am going to finish it tonight, which is, the day that the month ends, but I won't get to review it until a couple days from now. So that's why it's not counted as finished, but, I should be able to finish it today or tomorrow. So yeah, that's kind of like comparing it to my TBR video, but really I managed to finish everything else. And what I did instead of reading the Naruto and Blue Flag that I said I might read if I had time, I read a bunch of other stuff instead. So yeah, let's just jump into it. The first thing I read this month was Ojojojo, volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ojojojo is a really cute 4-coma story. It's made by the person that created Dragon Maid, and overall it's a really cute, enjoyable story. It kind of deals with two kind of people from different walks of life that are lonely. Eventually they come together and are lonely together, that then turns into them having some sort of relationship that eventually becomes romantic. And we get to see them going through all of this stuff and then see them as adults when they're, living as a married couple. Then I thought that was really cute. It's very enjoyable. Overall, it's just, this story was really, really cute. And it didn't have any of those weird kind of lolly and Shota moments that are kind of prevalent in Dragon Maid. So if you enjoy that art style and that kind of storytelling but don't want to deal with that type of stuff, this is where you should go. Ojojojo is just such a cute story. I really did enjoy it. I'm gonna put this stuff back here. Next, I read Chainsaw Man. I actually had read most of it last month, but I finished the last little bit of Chainsaw Man that I had left, and I really enjoyed it. But again, I just don't feel that the hype is really that deserved. I mean, everyone talks about Chainsaw Man like this next coming of Jesus. And it's just dude, it's just vaguely different from all of the other Shonen Jump stuff that you have read. It's really not that special. I'm not saying it's not good, but the hype around it is just so odd to me, because it's the only difference between this and any other shonen is that he's horny and Denji is horny, and that the art style is a little bit more grungy. That's basically it. That's really the only main difference. Everything else is more or less edgy main character type of stuff. Every character is basically Sasuke, which is a huge disservice to Chainsaw Man, but it's a funny way to describe it in my opinion, because a lot of these characters just have really edgy, sad backgrounds for the sake of being sad and edgy, and it's just okay, cool. It kind of fits the aesthetic of the story, but it doesn't make them amazing, right? So I don't know. My feelings on Chainsaw Man are all over the place. I generally enjoyed it, but overall I just don't think that the hype for it is deserved. It's really not that much different from every other shonen series that we see in Shonen Jump. But whatever. Next I read Tropic of the Sea, which is a pretty interesting kind of magical realism type of story that is very definitely about a young man transitioning from a boy to a man in the kind of mental type of way. He's trying to learn what matters to him and what he wants to care about and defend in terms of the way that he lives his life. Does he want to follow a more modernistic approach of always developing, or does he want to protect the things that mean and are mean something to him and are traditional across this town that he lives in? And it's basically kind of like that, and it has a vague kind of ecological message there about taking care of the world, and the world will take care of you. But generally it's more about that kind of like growth as an individual, where you kind of are starting to set out on your own and you have to find out which way you want to live your life. And I actually quite enjoyed it, but it's not very like deep or anything. But I think it is a pretty interesting read if you have like a small book club and you want something that kind of like deals with the development of your values as an individual as you get older. So that's pretty cool. Next, I read My Hero Academia Vigilantes. I actually spent most of the month reading all of this. I read all 100 chapters so far, and I'm really enjoying it. It's like surprising. I didn't think I would because it's like a spin-off, and it doesn't even focus on like big characters from the series. It focuses on like a completely different set of characters that have nothing to do with the My Hero Academia storyline, because there's a prequel that happens 5 years in the past from the beginning of the story. And it kind of is interesting because it shows us that, One For All has been active for a lot longer than, we think at the beginning of My Hero Academia. Sorry, not One For All For One, the bad guy, the Darth Vader kind of guy, has been active for a lot longer than we think. And we get to see a bunch of different characters that play relatively minor roles, except for Aizawa. Aizawa's pretty big. Get a lot of character development and growth throughout this manga, as well as, develop the story of these other characters that is basically trying to tell you that, anyone can be a hero. They just have to, try and save people. And it's actually pretty cool. I really do enjoy it. My favorite part was actually the Aizawa backstory, because I'm pretty sure it's canon since it was referenced in the actual main series story. But it also adds a lot of interest to Aizawa. It makes sense why Aizawa is the way he is based on that background story. I also enjoyed when Miruko, whatever, the bunny woman, showed up in the story, and she did some stuff. She fought some bad guys, which is really awesome. And in general, I think it's just really cool. And right now, the arc that is happening at the moment is super badass. The main female character has turned evil, and it's still so cool. I really enjoy it. It's just very fun. And I really enjoy how it fleshes out the world of My Hero Academia in a different way, because it deals with, mundane usage of quirks instead of always being for hero work. And I like that. It's kind of cool. Next, I read How to Train Your Devil, which is kind of not that great. I liked the fan service that was happening, but I didn't like how the fan service was created. The way that we got into the fan service was kind of not great, because it's basically this baby demon that is a super perv, and I don't really like it that much. It's actually kind of uncomfortable, but it wasn't uncomfortable enough for me to drop the story just yet. I want to reread it later in a couple months and see if I still feel the same way, at which point I will drop it. But for now, I think I'm going to leave it in my collection and, just let it stew there for a little bit before I read it again. Okay, next I read Dragon Goes House Hunting, which is a surprising read. I really enjoyed it. It's a very slice of life heavy story set in a fantasy world, and it follows this dragon as he tries to go find a house to live in because his dad kicked him out for being lame, which is kind of funny. I really enjoy this. The art is pretty badass as well. It just looks really nice. You see that? And I just like it a lot. But yeah, there's really not that much to say. The anime is currently airing, so if you want to check that out, you can. I think it's on Crunchyroll. Wait, no, sorry, it's on Funimation. But yeah, this was surprising. I really did enjoy it quite a lot. I wasn't actually expecting that. Next, I read Nisekoi. Now, this one is kind of interesting. It's a rom-com, and it has to deal with this kind of reverse Romeo and Juliet type of story, where two characters don't like each other but are forced to be together by their families in order to stop this kind of gang war from breaking out. And it's actually kind of interesting. I really enjoy the main character. He's kind of funny because he's supposed to be this badass Yakuza kid, but he's actually just a normal person. He kind of reminds me of Ryuji from Toradora. I mean, I think this is older than Ryuji. Not Ryuji, sorry. I think this is older than Toradora, but I'm not actually sure. But that whole kind of looks like a gangster, but it's just a normal kid is like a very common trope in these type of stories. So there you go. I liked it. It was fun. I also read We Never Learn in order to review it with that one. And We Never Learn is actually pretty fun. I like it because the school setting actually matters. It's like the story revolves around this character tutoring these girls in order to pass so that he can get a scholarship from his school because he's like dirt poor. I actually quite like it. And the romance develops around the fact that this character just like pours his heart and soul into helping these people because essentially it's the right thing to do, but also because he wants that scholarship. And the female characters are all kind of like, I'm impressed by that because he's the only one that has done that for them. So I actually kind of like it, but it's also kind of like, I don't know. But the female characters in We Never Learn are super cute. And the main character is actually pretty fun. I actually quite enjoy him. So I'm going to probably read more of both Niseko and We Never Learn as, you know, the year goes by, but it's all going to be online. Next, I read My Dress Up Darling, volumes 1 and 2. I actually had already read volume 1, but I read it again so I could read volume 2. And again, this is like the most wholesome lewd story I've ever read. It's so odd because, you know, there's so many panels where like, you know, there's boobs and butts and all that type of stuff. But at the same time, the story is so like deeply moving because it's about this guy that, you know, has no connections with anyone and is afraid of sharing his hobby. But then that same hobby that he's afraid of sharing is what allows him the opportunity to have friends and human connections with people. And it's so interesting, and it kind of is very cute. And I've said it before, it kind of like works in a way like that a lot of young men would kind of really appreciate, because it shows that, you know, you can have any hobby you like. It doesn't have to be traditionally masculine. You can just be whoever you want to be. And eventually the right people will come to you and you'll find them and you'll be able to, you know, appreciate your hobbies and the things that you like, regardless of how they're gendered, in a, you know, meaningful way. And I just really like that. But the fan service is really good. The characters are really good. I really enjoy Maureen's character. She's so cute. And Gojo's actually pretty fun as well. So, yeah. Oh, sorry. Next, I read Toradora, Volume 2. And I actually didn't like this one as much as the first one. It was just not as charming, mostly because of this character right here. The way she gets introduced actually is done in such a way that actually disrupts the storyline that I actually was quite enjoying, which was, you know, Ryuji and Taiga's friendship as it leads into something romantic. And I just didn't appreciate that this character came in, you know, kind of destroyed that, and then refocus the story back to the original premise, which was Ryuji and Taiga are friends in order to help each other get with the other person that they like, who happens to be friends with them, right? Like Ryuji is friends with Taiga so he can get close to Kushieda. Taiga is friends with Ryuji so she can get close to Kita, Takuma, whatever his name is. And I just didn't like that because it just feels odd for them to be interested in that when, like, they literally are in a relationship. They live together, they eat together, they cook for each other, they clean for each other. Like they do all of these things that, like, people that are in a relationship would do for each other, but they still, like, are looking to date other people, and it's just so odd. It's just so weird. But yeah. Next, I read God of High School, Chapter 1, which is the first 42 episodes, which is, like, essentially Chapter 1 is, like, the first arc of the story, but it's part of a larger arc, right? So it's kind of interesting, like, how it's set up, but I really enjoyed it. I liked the martial arts, and I really enjoyed the pacing. It was really fast, without actually losing any of the character development that we would see in other stories. It was fun. It was very Goku-esque, like the main character is very Goku-esque, but it's still a very fun kind of like battle shonen type of story that I really enjoyed. The art is really nice. I do like it quite a lot. However, there was a few issues with how the art sometimes depicts moves, because I don't understand how they work, mostly because I don't understand the mechanics that go into, you know, doing these type of actions. You know, my buddy Suave Reads actually, you know, kind of explained how that works to me. Because it's not showing you going from one position to the next. It's showing you the 3 different kicks that he did, and allowing you to kind of like fill in the blanks about how he got into those positions, right? But it's actually pretty interesting. I really enjoyed it. It's really cool. I'm really excited to get into the supernatural aspect of that stuff because like there has been some hints of the supernatural element here, but nothing concrete just yet. And I'm excited to see where that kind of goes because I know that, you know, characters in God of High School do end up having like superpowers, so that's pretty cool. I'm really excited about that. But yeah, next I read Lord of Goblins, Volume 2, which is really good. I really did enjoy it. It was kind of odd because the writing style felt like I was reading science fiction, like military science fiction, but like I knew that it was basically like medieval style fighting. So it was a little bit of a dissonance there between the writing and the stuff that was happening in the text. But I actually quite enjoyed it. It was kind of interesting. And I like the political drama aspect of it because it's basically like a very scaled down Game of Thrones happening between a bunch of different goblin clans. And I really enjoy that. It's kind of cool. Just really enjoyable. But I don't, like, just check out my review. I have a lot more to say, but like, it's kind of tough to say a lot of it without like actually going into describing everything about the book. So yeah. Next, I read Azure Wing, which is a really fun book. It's kind of like a military sci-fi turned into a fantasy. Again, it's kind of interesting in that sense because, you know, the story starts in a military sci-fi type of setting that is, you know, military sci-fi but powered by magic. Then there's a big time skip that happens because our character gets trapped in ice, kind of like Avatar style. And then thousands of years later, he gets awoken, and the world has fallen back into this kind of medieval type of setting. And now he's kind of like this mythical figure because he has powers that no one else has. And it's actually really good. I really enjoyed it. The writing style here is super clear and super concise. And just reading it was super easy. And I also really enjoyed the art style here. The story is actually really good and really enjoyable, so definitely check this out. This is by Light Novel Horizons, so yeah. What else did I read? Okay, the last two things that I read are Tower Climber by Jacob Tanner, which I just reviewed a few days ago. That was really awesome as well. I really did enjoy it. And the last thing I read was Towers of Acalia Volume 1, which is by my buddy T.J. Reynolds, but this is written under Atlas Kane. Again, it's very similar to Tower Climber. I just reviewed it earlier this morning, so you guys can check out that review if you want up there. But in general, just really good stuff. I really did enjoy it. The last thing I read was obviously Brightblade, but I haven't finished it. So I don't really have that much to say about it just yet. But yeah, really enjoyable. I'm looking forward to finishing it. And yeah, that's everything I have for you guys today. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and see you guys later.